Matthew is an expert in consumer behavior and trends discovery. This passion has led him to open broader opportunities to share his knowledge and insights from Pinterest beyond his day-to-day job.
I love this analogy so much, which is almost on, if we look at things like Meta, on those platforms, you're showing that you went to a party, right? You're posting pictures.
Yes.
I was at a party. And if you look at things like Snapchat and Twitter, you're telling people I'm at the party. Right now I'm at the party.
Yes.
On Pinterest, you're planning that party.
I think a really great way for like new brands to like start exploring who is their customer base on Pinterest.
We're very much known as the inspiration platform, but we're just as much shopping as we are inspiration now.
I love the fact that now you can check and see the prices, and then to a point of budget, like you can plan much better.
Make that whole seamless purchase journey a lot easier.
Okay, this is very much like my sweet spot. So
okay, I didn't know that. Hi everyone, I'm Mara Genovese. I'm the founder and president of MG Empower Global Integrated Marketing Agency, and welcome to our Influencer Marketing Uncovered podcast. Today we have with us at our MG studio in London, the head of partnership at Pinterest UK, Matthew Seabury. Did I get it right?
Yeah, very
amazing. Good. Matthew is an expert in consumer behavior and trends discovery. This passion has led him to open broader opportunities to share his knowledge and insights from Pinterest beyond his day-to-day job. As my co-host for today's episode, another expert when it comes to trends and user behavior, our senior paid media manager, Beatrice. Welcome, Beatrice.
Thank you. What a pleasure, Myra. Thank you for having me today for this interesting episode to talk about a platform I love so much. Matthew, apart from being a Pinterest guru, he's also a monthly columnist for Idle Home magazine, where he shares insights into style and trends driven by how UK consumers are using Pinterest. Welcome, Matthew, to Influencer Marketing Uncovered podcast.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much for having me on.
Amazing. We're going to talk all things about Pinterest. But you're a big user, right?
I'm a big pinner. I actually found out my first board was actually 7 years ago. But
7 years ago, okay.
Yeah. But I've definitely been on the platform a lot longer, but I think that was the last board I hadn't deleted. So
mine is since 2011.
That's early days.
Yes,
that's
because
really
I was planning my wedding. And then I remember, so I wanted to have an inspo for my wedding, and I was doing all back in Brazil. So I was already living here, but my wedding was in Brazil. And I want to have a lavender decoration, and I remember like where I'm gonna find inspo, and then Pinterest came.
Love that.
And then I still have my wedding board.
Yeah,
is there?
Did
yes.
Did it come true? Like, did the board look like the
Yes,
wedding?
it did.
Amazing.
Yes, it did. So it was a great inspo. But Matthew, amazing that you're here. We're gonna have a lot to discuss, a lot to talk, because I think there's so much that we can uncover around Pinterest, right? Yeah. But to start with, let's start with your journey. So since like we have Pinterest now for 2 years.
2 years now.
Yeah. So how it started, what do you do there in terms of like brand partnerships? Tell a little bit about your story with Pinterest.
Yeah, sure. So I joined Pinterest, about 2 years ago, and I came in to look after a lot of our home decor clients and looking at their kind of marketing strategies, how they best show up on Pinterest, how they engage with pinners. So I'm going to use the word pinners a lot. So
okay.
A pinner is someone who uses Pinterest. Okay. So Bea, you're a pinner.
That's how I choose to identify.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad. I think a big attraction for me coming to Pinterest was not only kind of my own personal interest in interior design and chairs and stuff like that. It's also like the insights that Pinterest provides. Like as a platform, it's fascinating how users use it and what we can kind of learn about people in terms of what people are searching for, how people are decorating their homes, designing outfits. It's such a intention heavy platform. It just really appealed to me. And then the other side of it is social is a bit scary. Sometimes it's not great. Sometimes it's like, we know that there is a bit of a like this kind of race to the bottom of the brainstem type thing where we all get sucked into scrolling through TikTok and Instagram. Yes. I do it just as much as anyone else. But I think coming to a platform like Pinterest just held so much positivity and so much intention and so much about helping people realize their dreams, right? And I think that really appealed to me, especially in like 2 years ago, we were coming out of pandemic and all of this sort of stuff. And I just think our social and tech diets are like, they're not the most healthy. Yes. And I think I wanted to be part of something that I felt like was healthy and was an addition to people's lives. Like sometimes, and actually a friend of mine described Pinterest as like, if you imagine your like most like perfect healthy day, like you wake up early, have a big glass of like warm water, maybe have like a chai bowl of something, and you go to the gym, and then you go on your Pinterest and you do a bit of vision boarding, you think about what you want in life, and you create that and all of those sorts of things. Like it's kind of part of that healthiness, right? Nice. And actually we do find that when people take social media diets, which is also what it's called, really cool. Where essentially they're going, right, I'm not on Instagram for a week, I'm cutting off TikTok for a couple of weeks. Pinterest always tends to stay on because of the nature of the platform, right? It's not something that you needed sucks you in. Cut, yes. It's exactly that. And our biggest thing, and we talk to both advertisers and users about this, is that we want people on the platform, and then we want them to get off and go do what they've been planning, right? Interesting. So I think that was really important to me. So that's kind of how I came to be.
I love that you always said about like intention. Yeah. Because it is a platform that you go with an intention, right? Yeah. So, because like, to your point, yes, when we go to TikTok and Instagram, it's all about scrolling. Yeah. And, checking what the people are doing, or, there's not much of like an intention, what I am there, right? Mm. And then you get influenced by influencer or by peers about what they're doing. And then, you start researching around that subject that actually influence you when you're scrolling. But like Pinterest, my own experience is like when I go to Pinterest, exactly, I love the word, is with the intention. I know what I'm going to the platform because I know what I'm looking for. I know what are my boards, what I'm creating. And it's exciting because the platforms also help you to create. As soon as you start putting your vision board, the platform gives you insight. How can you continue to build that? And I think that is the fascinating part about Pinterest, right? So how does the algorithm Pinterest works? If you can tell us a little bit more about it, because it's different from other platforms, right? From Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. So how does it work? How does it can be so tailored and personalized to our dream, our visions when we go to the platform?
Well, I think it's exactly kind of what you said there around intention, right? It like the ins and outs of various kind of like machine learning and AI and whatever else that our platform and every other platform has kind of embedded in it. I think the key to it is that our algorithms and things like that aren't trying to kind of keep you looking at the same things or entertain you in the same way like we see on other things. When you're on Pinterest and you have such intention, you're searching for something very specific. You tend not to, which I sometimes do with Instagram Reels, which I just stick on Instagram Reels and I just go, right, what's happening? Mm-hmm. And I don't do that. When I'm on there, I search for particular things. It can be men's leather jacket outfit inspiration, right? Okay, it's that kind of thing. And because I'm searching specifically for something, living room inspiration, beauty tips, whatever it may be, I'm only being kind of served pins that are relevant to that, right? And so when I start to engage with different pins, maybe it's I start to I really love the look of a green living room, and I'll start engaging with those. Now, it will still keep the search fairly broad, but as I go onto my board, which I've created with pins that I like of green living rooms, that's when it then goes, okay, well, let's find things that are similar to kind of green living rooms, right? And let's give more content that way. So I think it's exactly to your point that you said there. It's helping people and driving that kind of dream creation, right? And that ultimately is what we want. We want you to design those boards, dream big, think about the things you want, manifest that.
Can I tell you a secret?
Go for it.
This office, I have my pins on this office, and I search like yellow office. And I still have all like this office.
Yeah.
It's very, very like I own to Pinterest because it helps me a lot. Because I really had like the vision of how I wanted to have a dream office.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be yellow, but I didn't want it to be just yellow. So it's like tons of yellow because I want to give the personality. And then I went to Pinterest. And yeah, so I still have like it's because now you're talking about intention and dreams coming true, and then I'm thinking about my own experience. Now I had the wedding and I have the office and still my home. So it's
Pinterest, you're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's like because you don't stop to thinking like, but now listening to what you're saying, it's just like it's so through, right?
Yeah, there's one thing I love about Pinterest is that. So we're often defined in so many different categories.
Yeah.
Some people would define us as like visual search engine, which we very much are. Others can define us kind of in a social media category and whatever else, which again, that they are kind of from an advertising perspective, kind of competitors in that space. From a perspective of users, your boards that you create around your wedding or this office, you can make them public, you can share them with your friends, you can add collaborators and whatever else to them. But really, they're just there for you.
Yeah.
So it's not. This isn't social media per se. It's personal media, right? And that's what the power of kind of Pinterest is that it's not you in the eyes of others. It's just you, and it's your dreams.
And it's your dream, and then you can, with your dreams, you can inspire others to achieve your dreams through Pinterest. We can create a campaign here. How Pinterest, helped me to achieve my dreams, and how can we inspire? People to actually go to a manifestation board on Pinterest. Like we can create a campaign here for you guys. But let's talk about like, then I wanted to link like Pinterest and with paid media because like as the nature of what we do here at MG Empower, we work with a lot of clients that, we work with them on strategy for influencer marketing, for paid media, for IRL activations. So Pinterest, it's when it comes to added the platform within the context of a brand strategy, we can see that this is growing a lot. So but when it comes to paid, how does brands and paid, what's the best work format and how brands can engage and understand more about, based on all your experience with our clients, and just get Matthew to give us a little bit of like overview on these collaborations between brands and Pinterest.
Yeah.
I think where we're seeing a lot of success with our own brands on Pinterest, I think is really down to like the granularity that you can target on Pinterest. I think the beauty of like that social media channel versus say your TikToks, your Instagrams is my personal favorite is just like the keyword targeting because it's so granular. And like I think you've both touched on about it being like personal media. I think what's more personal than literally targeting someone based on what they're looking for. And I think it's a really unique way that you're able to like perforate that world of, you're looking for something, how can a brand appear in a way that's really like earnest and authentic, but then also because it's still like an advertising world, it's like we want to like make sales, but really be really like true to yourself. And I think Pinterest is one of those platforms where brands really appear like at the right time, at that right moment to convert the consumer to either add your brand product to their board or just really increase your like purchase journey. So I think we're in like a really exciting journey with Pinterest as a brand for MG Empower. But I think working with a lot of like haircare, but then also like homeware as well, it's a really nice way to see how we as MG Empower can really like push some of our brands, maybe not necessarily within like that home space, a lot further.
Yeah. No, I think the great thing for brands on Pinterest, and if we go back to 2010 when Pinterest started, right, and this platform that was there essentially for you to take images from the internet that you liked and save them onto the thing, right? And what then happened is people were engaging with Pinterest and finding all these amazing inspirational images, and it was continually building, and it was this really amazing visual search engine. But then people would find this thing, it would be like, oh, I love this.
Where do I buy it?
Yeah. I can't, when I click on it, it's just it's someone's blog. Oh, it's just this webpage that's not there like anymore. And so I think what's happened since then is it's just become so much more sophisticated, and brands are additives on Pinterest. That's the really important thing to remember for any brand who's looking to be on Pinterest, is that, and it all, again, always relates back to intention. if I'm searching for living room ideas, I'm gonna buy something in my living room, right? I'm not there just to kind of
just because
browse.
I like, yes,
right. And now like the digital landscape, like I can consume content in any other way, but can I curate what I want in my house and begin to visualize it so that I can then go buy it? No, that only happens really on Pinterest. And the other advantage that we have is that on Pinterest, the feed isn't a single image every time.
No.
And so some may say, oh, it looks a bit busy and stuff like that. But actually, that's really done on purpose. And because as you're scrolling through, the ads that you're receiving are all part of it.
Are related to what you are searching.
Exactly. We're not interrupting you while you're going through your friend's feed, or while you're trying to laugh and consume content in the morning with a cup of coffee. Like we're there at the moment. People are in the mindset of I need something. And I guess the biggest advice that we give to brands is when you're thinking about showing up on Pinterest, show up in a way that you're going to help people, right? Be there, like, and that is across everything. Sometimes people go, oh, maybe sale messaging doesn't work, or maybe things like that. It really does. Because if I'm there looking at decking because it's summer's around the corner, actually, if there's suddenly, I don't know, B&Q shows up and it's 20% off decking, well, that's actually great. Stop and okay, I'm gonna say, they're all gonna be a part of it, right? And I think that there are, every platform will tell you this, right? Is that they're kind of this full suite solution. They can do the full funnel, awareness, consideration, shopping, whatever else. We can do that. We can do that too. but I mean that in a sense of, and a nice journey I kind of like to think about is if I was doing up my kitchen. Okay, that is a fairly long purchase journey. Now, when I start thinking about doing up my kitchen, I don't go, well, I don't have much money, so no, let's kind of pull together a scrappy kitchen. No, I go, let's really, like, what would my dream kitchen look like? Okay, and that's that kind of awareness phase. And actually, at that moment, brands that show up and kind of tell more of those like bigger brand stories are going to be really a part of that journey, because I'm going to start going, well, actually, these are the brands that can help me do that. And as I move further down that funnel, I begin to realize that, okay, my budget is this, and I need actually the guys, the brands that are showing up at that kind of upper funnel side of it are always going to be part of that kind of the choices of where I shop, right? And then if we get even further down to that, which is a really big thing on Pinterest, which is we're very much known as the inspiration platform, but we're just as much shopping as we are inspiration now. And that's a big shift that we've taken. And I think we've seen so much success there, because ultimately, exactly to your point, which is, okay, I see pins, this looks great, but I can't get it.
Where I can get it.
Now it is so different now.
It's so different. It's so different. It's very smart, because if I liked, I clicked, and I can see price, then I go like, but maybe this is not within the, my budget. So maybe this one is going to have to be removed from my vision board, or it's just there as a vision, an idea. But so I love the fact that now you can check and see the prices, and then to a point of budget, like you can plan much better, because then you know what you like, what's the range that it costs. And when there was that transition of like going to be able to click and
I think it's been in the works for a while. I think only in the last 2 years we've really ramped up, and there are I can't remember exactly where the study is, but it really shows how quickly Pinterest's shopping is growing versus pretty much everyone else, which is kind of almost flat, if not decreasing.
And in terms of category within Pinterest, which one is the most successful? Is the homeware?
Homeware is where everyone's mind goes to.
Okay.
Right? It's an obvious one. If you ask anyone who's doing up the house, just like yourself, right?
You go to Pinterest.
It's you start Pinterest, right? But interestingly, huge categories in beauty, in
that's
fashion.
That's what I was about to say.
Right? Like they are so big across everything we do there. I think there are really exciting things, and brands are doing exciting stuff, because I think I often talk about, we all have those friends who are just dressed perfectly all the time.
Yes.
Like they have just the most amazing outfits. Like you go into their homes and their homes are amazing. They're something out of a catalog, right? They're those who are on Pinterest. And if we talk about fashion, they're curating those outfits on their boards, right? They're building summer outfits. And the other thing we talk about is like moments are generally made on Pinterest, right? If we think about birthdays, summer, the holidays, whatever it is, they're planned on Pinterest, right? You'll eventually see them on Instagram or Snapchat and whatever else because you're wearing them.
Yes. Yeah. Then you go to Pinterest and you start researching more towards that theme.
Yeah. So we talk about and it's a really I love this analogy so much, which is almost if we look at things like Meta. On those platforms, you're showing that you went to a party, right? You're posting pictures.
Yes.
You go, I was at a party. And if you look at things like Snapchat and Twitter, you're telling people, I'm at the party. Right now, I'm at the party.
Yes.
On Pinterest, you're planning that party, right?
So true.
And that's, again, the mindset that people have to remember, kind of, especially for businesses who are looking to advertise on Pinterest, is that you're capturing people at that moment when they are planning the party. Right? That's really important.
And then the planning element, and again, brings me back to my own experience. So you plan, you execute, but the board will always be there for you to remember. And I think that's very the beauty of Pinterest, because you always can go back to great memories, right?
Yeah.
And again, we go back to intentions, because when I see the like when I was planning the office, and then that made me remind about my wedding, because my whole board was still there. So it's a great platform to bring you back to memories. And tell me like a little bit about like the video piece element on Pinterest, right? Because it was few years ago we were just like photos, and now you're doing that element of having be like influencers and brands. You can also add a video. What is the video, how the video format is doing at Pinterest? And if you think about Pinterest, what's the differentiation about having the photo and the video? And is the video engaging more with a certain demographic, or wanted to, because there's a lot of questions like when it comes to our clients, and even with the influencer, what's the best direction to go to Pinterest? Shall we continue to do like a static, or is the video format something that we should go for it as well?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Video has grown huge amounts on Pinterest, right? And it is a very key format that so many brands and creators are using, and I think it's really super engaging. We have video formats that sit within feed itself, and I think they're great if we're thinking about brands for a moment. They're amazing ways of kind of capturing attention, and I think attention and effective reach are big buzzwords now in the industry. And I think if we look at attention, we've ran studies with Lumen, which many of the brands like will know of, and that's where we've seen things like our max width video format gets essentially more attentive seconds per 1,000 impressions than
did you know that?
than pretty much most other platforms, including digital display and out of home and things like that. And then if we look at the cost effectiveness as well, it's also significantly more cost effective than things like digital display. So that's where you see video formats really come to their own. Now, the other side of it is what we call idea pins. Now, idea pins are a full video format. So very much similar kind of what you'll see everywhere else and things like that. But they've done amazingly well. And that's a real opportunity for creators to develop bigger content and longer form content and tell bigger stories. And ultimately, they're called idea pins because they're for creators to help inspire people with ideas. So and they've done so amazingly well because there's
so many good stuff there.
It's such good stuff when helping people with like recipes, for example. That's another huge category on Pinterest, right? Is people like being able to create recipe content and giving step-by-steps like, oh, how you do this, how you do that, how you do this. And showing people that, not entertaining anyone necessarily in terms of they're not there to tell jokes, they're there to inspire ideas and get people doing things. And those formats do incredibly well as well.
Amazing.
I think what I like putting my advertiser hat on about the video formats on Pinterest is it's a really perfect blend of like, you've got your polished branded content. Say I'm launching a new washing machine campaign. I want to use that max width video asset just to be able to really like shout about how great this campaign is and really hone in on that like real estate on the feed. But then also it's a really nice blend of actually, I'm a fashion brand, let me show you my get ready with me, or like how I've styled this outfit. And I think it's not one of those platforms where you have to make content one particular way, because I think there's a really nice seamless blend between like your organic content and your paid content. So finding that like having that freedom actually for a brand to say, actually, we don't need to change how we're making our content. Actually, let's test and learn. Let's try doing a particular style for one campaign and also just pivoting there. And I think Pinterest for us as like a media agency has been really good in terms of having that like freedom to test and learn and actually see some like really reactive results. So, and I think when we saw the launch of like shoppable tags, it was like mind blowing. It was like, you mean I can run a video static ad on Pinterest, someone can click through and then purchase and make that whole seamless purchase journey a lot easier. And I think removing that barrier of like, okay, I have to wait for the website to launch and then all of that fun stuff and like risk losing my like audience was really impressive. So I think I'm really excited for like the future of video for Pinterest, because as a consumer, ads to me don't even look like ads. There are many times where I'll be on another social media platform reporting ads because they're just annoying. But I think on Pinterest, it's adding to my life. And I think having that personal media where it blends your dreams and your manifestations, but then also things that can add to your dreams and manifestations are really like great add-on for the future video.
It's the inspirational content, right?
Yeah.
That you said it's more about inspiring than trying to sell you something, right?
Yeah. I think the other thing with inspiration is that sometimes people can think inspiration is the most out there thing in the world, but it's really not. It's so much smaller, and I think that's where it's exciting for brands to turn up, and the word inspire can be done in such small, unique ways that I think everyone has a kind of place to turn up and influence purchases. The other thing that we find is that I think the stat is roughly around 97% of searches on Pinterest are unbranded. So people are always searching undecided. So if we look at any kind of search on any other thing, they're there to be influenced by brands, right? And that's actually
searching a specifically brand or product. Like they look at the chair, but they're not putting the type of chair or the brand of the chair. So they're putting like brown chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're ready. They are ready to be influenced, right? And that's such an exciting opportunity, because it just means that, okay, like I want to see things that inspire me, and brands like, show me what you've got. You know, that's the option.
And this is like, because like TikTok, like platform like TikTok, they have the trends, right? But of course, there's a different type of trends. Does Pinterest works around trends as well? What people are searching more often, and then you go to potential partnerships that you do and say, this is the trend of the week, the trend. How does it work with the trends?
It's very good. This is very much like my sweet spot. So
I didn't know that.
so trends, I think what I'll start actually is there is a difference between fads and trends.
Yes.
And when you use the word fad, sometimes people think that's a negative thing. So we go, oh, it's a fad, right? It's not a negative thing. It's something that is kind of appears in a short space of time and then kind of disappears, right? Mm-hmm. That's a fad. A trend is something that lasts so long that it kind of begins to permeate people's general day-to-day life, right? So an example, if we talk about TikTok, for example, dancing on TikTok is a trend, right? It's culturally, it's a lifestyle. That's exactly it, right? The type of dance that someone is doing, that's a fad, right? Because it will come and it will go. On Pinterest, because that journey that people take is often so much longer, and we're often seeing people search for things. Maybe it can be days, it can be months, or it can be like quite a long time before that thing is then realized. So what we're able to do, and what we do every year around December, is we release our predictive trends for the year. So that is where we're essentially saying these are our top trends that we think are going to increase and grow over the next year. So, and that's so powerful in terms of, if you speak to any brand who wants to activate against something that's like suddenly appeared, like it's got to go through this approval, and we've got to find the budget to do this, and we've got to create this, and we've got to create the content, and it's so difficult for brands to jump on trends like that. But what we're able to do by looking at like billions of data points in terms of how people are searching and all those sorts of things, we're able to go, well, actually, we predict that these are going to be the big trends, and actually, for the last 3 years, what we've been able to establish is that 8 out of 10 of those predictions come true.
Wow.
Which is really, really big, right?
Yes.
It's even bigger. So there's a fantastic study by a sociologist called Philip Tetlock, and he ran a study across roughly around like 18 years, working with like hundreds of forecasters, and asked them to essentially predict different things. And they were experts in their fields to say, will this happen, whatever else. Over that time, pretty much what kind of came out of it was that it's near on impossible to consistently be right with predicting trends, right? Trends. And so what kind of roughly came out was about 50-50, like it was right, 50-50 it was wrong, right? Which ultimately means nothing. Because if you can only be right or wrong, it means nothing. It means nothing. Okay? So 5 out of 10, that's okay, great. Well, no one cares. But if any platform can tell you using data and whatever else that anything above that, it comes true, that's really something to listen to. That's really something.
And how do you share this predictable trends to brands? Well, how do we anticipate that?
Yeah, so we have this report that comes out in December every year.
But it's available to everyone.
I can confirm I've read it.
Okay, that's good. So sorry, I didn't know that. But okay, so it is available. It's a public document that everyone can have an access.
Yeah.
Amazing. Because when we plan campaigns, and you talked about like beauty, we have a lot of beauty clients, and Pinterest became a huge platform for beauty brands, and for not just for beauty brands, but for beauty influencers as well. So both combined. And we have some clients and some influencers that are using Pinterest to launch their new products or launch a new, or if they want to become a trend of the color palette of like a makeup and they are using, because now I'm just thinking here, when you do the trends, you do the trends across all categories, right? So it's not just specifically for one category of home or beauty.
So it won't always be across every single category.
Okay.
It's really about listening to the platform and what is going to be trending over the next year. This year particularly, we actually focused on values. So we actually built trends based on different values. So I think that was particularly interesting in a way that we were able to kind of cut across multiple verticals, because more often than not, you'll see a trend permeate multiple verticals. So so one trend is termed rust married. And this is all about like burnt orange is a big color this year. Burnt orange is such a big color. And interestingly, this was really focused around weddings, right? And actually, a lot of people were using those colors as a strong color theme within their weddings, bridesmaids' dresses, whatever else. But the trend goes so much deeper than that. Rust married is, although that's kind of really where we see the kind of the biggest growth in terms of burnt orange colors.
Yeah.
We see that so much in interiors as well. And like
color.
So Farrow & Ball is a great example of a brand that launched a beautiful orange. And I'm not saying that's got anything to do with our trends, but it's exactly the kind of thing that consumers are looking for in interiors. So these trends, they're not always completely verticalized. It's not always that is a wedding trend, right?
Okay.
It's more than that.
Okay.
And that's where I think it gets really, really interesting.
Because you talk about orange, but I would talk about pink. Because the pink, it is being one of the colors of the year so far. And then when I went back to the makeup, so we have clients that will launch like pink lipstick or pink blush, and then the Valentino as a fashion brand just launched a collection that's fully on pink.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of the talents that we work, so they pick back on the pink color on Pinterest, or to launch a new product, or to, promote a product that's related to the color. So it's funny that you talk about orange, because we talk a lot about pink as well. As another big trend, especially on Pinterest.
That is so perfect. So last year, one of our big predictions, which was probably one of the biggest growing trend, was dopamine dressing. Dopamine dressing was something we talked about. So last year for 2022. And it's not stopped growing. And I think, so one thing always to remember is obviously we release trends every year. That doesn't mean a trend just drops off. It is done nothing but explode. And actually, if you search dopamine dressing now through Google, the wordage is used by so many brands, publications, everything now. Interestingly enough, what has also happened this year is that, and what we do find is that fashion trends turn into home decor trends about a year after they're trending. So now one of the biggest home decor trends is dopamine decor.
Love it.
Which
Sounds
is
like a happy
amazing.
home.
I love it. So I was in Mexico 4 weeks ago. Mexican architecture
It's insane.
and furniture, and it's so bright and bold and amazing. I think all of us need to be putting more color in our homes now. I'm absolutely obsessed.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Think about competitors, other social platforms, right? Because we can see like Instagram now, you can save your favorite picture image on your, board and and now you can create it categories the same as Pinterest. How do you see social platforms like Instagram trying to replicate what Pinterest does? But of course, it's never going to be the same. But you can see that they are leveraging from what you guys are doing so well and trying to engage as well within their platform. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I think it's the greatest form of flattery.
Okay.
100%.
It's so true.
It's the greatest form of flattery.
I always say that
it.
as well when people say, "What do you think about that?" Do this? I can say, "I'm very flattering. Just keep doing it."
It is. I don't. It's not something that I would say, worry about or anything like that, because I think people come to Instagram and people come to Pinterest for very different reasons.
100%.
Right? And yeah, sometimes I'll scroll through Instagram Reels and I'll see something that inspires me or whatever else, but it's also amongst things that are making me laugh and things that are kind of shocking me as well. I think we talk a lot about the industry in terms of brand, others in the industry essentially that are serving content that is about keeping you on the platform, right? And they're there to shock you and maybe outrage you, or maybe entertain you more than you've ever been entertained before, right?
Yep.
That kind of shock economy is not
Big
something
time.
we want to be a part of at all, because it does, you see reels of someone fighting someone, or you see something that explicit, and you it's not where you really want to be. That's not an inspiring place to be. I'm not looking at that kind of content and then going, right, let's think about my dream house, or let's think about my wedding. No, I've just been sucked in by this fight or something that's happened, and I can't look away because I'm shocked by it, and shock keeps people on, right? That's
100%.
It just works.
Yeah.
And that is not something we want to be a part of. So it's not. I think it's brilliant that Instagram do that. I think it's great. Do I think it's a problem in terms of our audiences and things like that? No, because it's all I talk about social media diets. We use it all, right?
We use it all, and we need to, because they serve for different purposes.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think what Pinterest shouts about Instagram's like whispering. Not to compare the two, but I think it's very rare I will go back and double dip into my saved items on Instagram, but I'm consistently adding to my Pinterest boards. It might be a month apart, it might be a year apart, it might be 7 years later, but that board is still there. And I think the fact that the platform was a part of people's lives almost forever, because I think I've had social media for a decade or longer. I've deleted every single platform bar Pinterest at least once in my life. And I think the fact that consumers have this platform where it's very much like your happy social media. You go there for your happiness kicks. I want to learn how to bake brownies. I want to plan my wedding when I'm 12 years old, or I want to see how I'm going to decorate my room for next spring. And I think having a platform that's so evergreen is really exciting from both a consumer point of view, but then also the advertiser.
It's the inspirational and the intention that you talked a lot about it. Data is so important for brands, for creators, but also for Pinterest. When you look at data, what's the most important metric for Pinterest when it comes to engage with the users? Is the views, is the time on the platform? It's just what is the key data for you to measure the success of the platform?
Yeah, it's definitely not time on platform.
Okay.
Because that is, again, we want you on there realizing the things you want and then off going and doing them. That's really, it's so important to us to be thinking about users in that way, and not, I think tech companies can so quickly move to a place where they're very focused on advertisers and shareholders and whatever else, and the user kind of gets left behind a bit. But I think at Pinterest, it's that ensuring that users are getting the tools that they need to realize their life and stuff like that in the way that they want to is so important to us. So I think actually what's the most important thing is just general engagement and content. Like we talk so much about actually organic content, for example.
Yeah.
It's not about necessarily recency of your posts, be them idea pins or statics or whatever. It's about if that content is relevant to what people are searching, and it's as simple as that. And I think that ultimately is really, really powerful, and that's the most, I would say, important thing to us, is quality of content on platform and supporting and helping people do the things they want to do.
I think especially for new brands trying to get onto the platform, just the wealth of data that is available on Pinterest. It's like, because people are on the platform for so long, there are so many different ways you can like find your ideal customers. Like, are they 18 to 24? Do we even need to be limited by demographics? Is it more like their interest in categories, or should we be going down the keywords? And I think because data is so important, it's really key for, like, I think a really great way for like new brands to like start exploring who is their customer base on Pinterest.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Customer base, Gen Z, millennials, both?
It's everyone.
Is everyone like the question? Team is saying, Mara, stop talking. Future, what can we expect from Pinterest? That will be my last question. What we can expect from Pinterest coming next?
I mean, this year, Pinterest, I think, have launched more advertising products than they ever have, and it's really, really exciting.
Amazing.
Like, we've got new kind of areas for brands, as well as kind of editorial opportunities and things like that around our search bar. We're looking at new things like quiz ads, which essentially would
quiz ads.
Do quizzes in feed. There is so much brilliant and exciting products coming, and I think it's such a great time to be on Pinterest. Amazing.
Thank you so much for being here. I could stay more half an hour, but apparently I can. So every guest I'm saying we need to do episode 2. Because I was so interested in this conversation, and I still have a lot to cover, but it's the 30 minutes that never is enough. But Matthew, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. What a wonderful conversation. I've learned a lot, and thank you so much for being here with me today. And thank you everyone that's been listening to us today, and keep coming back to our Influencer Marketing Uncover podcast. We really appreciate you. And if you're not yet following us, please make sure you do on Amazon, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. And looking forward to see you all in our next episode. And thank you again so much for keeping tuning with us. And thank you both again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.